Caught in the heart of a nuclear explosion, victim of gamma radiation gone wild, Dr. Robert Bruce Banner now finds himself transformed into 7 feet, 1,000 pounds of unfettered fury, the most powerful creature to ever walk the earth, the Incredible Hulk. The Hulk, the original Hulk, was to the comic book reader a healthy outlet of rage. While we couldn't beat that bully to a pulp at school, smash that red light, throw cars out of our way in a traffic jam, or maybe throw a car down a steep hill in the middle of a thunderstorm when that darn spare tire just won't go on right, or maybe clear away long lines at the grocery store. I've lost track of which scenarios happened on the TV show starring Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, and which ones were actually in the comics. One thing is for certain, while the show may have differed in that the Hulk never spoke on the show and had limited strength in comparison to the comic book version, the spirit of the show certainly aligned perfectly with the comic's main theme. Perhaps it even defined it better than the comic books. The Hulk could do things that we couldn't. He could mindlessly rage and smash anything that made him mad. Of course, he was able to only smash things and never hurt any person, except for supervillains or maybe bullies. He went from puny Banner, mild-mannered scientist, to the awesome power of the Hulk in just a few moments, right when he was needed the most. It didn't necessarily have to be a supervillain or a bank robbery. It could be something as mundane as an uncooperative operator on a telephone, or maybe the recording of an operator in a telephone booth. Although usually while Banner was trying to get the police, of course. Now that definitely happened on the TV show. The Hulk, for all of his mindless, monstrous rage, always had the mind of a harmless child. Animals that would normally run away from puny humans would come right up to the Hulk, like deer, for example, as if he were a part of nature itself. In those days, there was no such thing as the Devil Hulk that might purposely kill an opponent. I'm glad I was able to read comics and be around for the original run of the TV show back in the late 70s and early 80s. That was the Hulk's best and most popular days. In fact, I would almost say that that was the Hulk's last days. At some point, Banner gained control of the Hulk in the 80s, and at that time it was an interesting contrast to the rampaging Hulk, but that was mainly because, at least for me, I always knew the good old Hulk, the Hulk smash, green skin, Jade Giant, was just around the corner. He'd be back sooner or later, but it never happened. I mean, sure, it was great when the Hulk gained favor with the world and even was granted a pardon by President Ronald Reagan, despite the protest of General Thunderbolt Ross. But surely the creators knew they had to bring back the original Jade Giant eventually, right? After the original Secret Wars, the Hulk controlled by Banner did start to show more signs of the inner rage, which at the time gave me hope the Hulk was on his way back. But this time something was off. The even more savage Hulk that would emerge was dangerous. He barely uttered a word, if any. Dr. Strange had to resort to sending the Hulk away to a dimensional portal. He gave the Hulk a fail-safe. Anytime he was unhappy, he would be diverted to another world. To me, this was a pretty low point in the Hulk's comic book history. The Hulk visited one strange world after another with little to say other than "Urgh," which doesn't work as well in the comics as it does on television. There was a bright spot, however, in issue 312, which brought out Banner's memory of the past, showing us, the reader, how Banner's dad had actually murdered Bruce's mother. It's a very interesting story, but I do have to wonder sometimes if that took the Hulk down a much darker path, to the point of killing off the Hulk that we all know and love, at least my generation did. From there, I can't deny that there were good stories, as it were. We got a little bit of a throwback to the original Hulk with the takeover by John Byrne for a few issues, but it was basically a Banner had that Banner had been separated from the Hulk, leaving a mindless monster. Not the same Hulk smash kind of deal. Then there was the Gray Hulk, and which was just an acknowledgement of their very first appearance of the Hulk before they went with the green color due to printing issues. From there, we eventually got another Banner-controlled Hulk with writer Peter David. At this time, I was starting to get bored. I wanted the old green-skinned Hulk smash monster back, the one I grew up with. The 90s came and went, and each decade it seems as though the old Hulk, he peeked his head out a little here and there, and then it gets replaced by some other sort of weird incarnation of the Hulk. It just seems for all intents and purposes the original Hulk is dead. I know Marvel doesn't have a great track record lately of listening to fans, but let it be known that this is one fan that would love it if Banner would come full circle and the Hulk and get back to basics. No Devil Hulks, no Gray Hulks, no Banner-controlled Hulks for years on end, and no teenage Hulks unless they're just backup characters. And for that matter, please don't have 8 different Hulks running around. There for a time, I believe they had every single cast member of the Hulk's circle has their own version of the Hulk. And don't get me started on the latest movie where Hulk got beat up by Thanos. Didn't even want to get revenge. The old Hulk would have kept on fighting and fighting and fighting and getting more angry. And as we all know, the madder the Hulk gets, the stronger the Hulk gets. Sure, they wanted all heroes to have their glory moment in that last Avengers movie, but making the Hulk look weak and useless did a huge disservice to Hulk fans. Speaking of movies, where the first big screen movie back in 2003, Went Astray, started from the very beginning of the movie, where they missed their chance to portray the Hulk's origin from the comic book with a huge, glorious gamma bomb explosion. I guess they were trying some sort of hybrid TV show / comic version, but the gamma bomb was a no-brainer. The only reason the TV show probably went with a gamma-radiated chair versus saving Rick Jones from a gamma explosion was likely due to the cost of the whole thing. This was just television. This was their big chance. Do it big. And they missed it. And of course, that movie had very little of the Hulk in the thing, and we didn't get any of the types of scenes that made the TV show so good. I mean, that could have been even better in a high-budget movie. I'm talking about that everyday kind of frustrating situation where most people fantasize about hulking out to. You know, the red lights, the traffic jams, the operators, the telemarketing calls, etc. And at least they use the classic line, "Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." That one really sums up the Hulk perfectly. The second movie was a huge improvement. Still, I'd probably just give it a C+, maybe B-. You know. Well. At least I still have the old series on DVD and all the old comics from the 70s and the 80s, where the original Hulk still lives to spark the imagination and give at least this fan a safe, entertaining outlet for the rage and anger that all humans have.